Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into today's conversation with the University of North Texas's Dining Services team. My name is Caroline Katsarubis, and I am Freight Farm's Director of Marketing. And for those of you who aren't familiar, our mission at Freight Farms is to build accessible and modular vertical farming technology that empowers people to grow fresh produce all over the world, wherever that may be. And we're most well known for our container farms. And today you'll be able to learn exactly how that technology can be integrated into a college campus and specifically in dining hall operations. We have an awesome roster of speakers today from the UNT Dining Services team for today's conversation. I am so pleased to introduce Mathew Ward. He is the executive chef of residential dining at UNT, Christopher Williams, assistant director and general manager of Mean Greens Cafe and Mean Greens Acres, and then Erin Klarner, UNT alumna and culinary farmer. Welcome, everyone. How are you?
Doing
Great.
well, doing well.
Awesome. All right. So we are, I think before we begin, the best place to start is going to be just introducing yourself and your role briefly. So, Matt, you want to start? You want to kick us off?
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Matthew Ward. I'm executive chef of residential dining here at the University of North Texas. I oversee culinary operations in five of our wonderful dining halls here on campus, and just oversee the great things that we do here at UNT.
Amazing. Chris?
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Christopher Williams. I'm assistant director here with Dining Services, and I'm also the chef general manager at Mean Greens Cafe, and I also run the Mean Green Acre project.
And Erin.
Hi, I'm Erin. I'm a culinary farmer at UNT. So I supervise our two freight farms on campus and do a little cooking in the kitchen.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to be covering a lot in a short period of time today. So we'll get to know more about UNT Dining, specifically their core values that guide what they do, highlighting a lot of the sustainability initiatives and their innovative approaches to food. Then we'll get into actually growing produce on campus with their two hydroponic freight farms, how it's integrated into operations, what's grown, who grows it, and how it's used for community engagement. And then we'll hear what the team thinks about future trends in the industry, as well as any advice that they have for folks that are looking to start similar initiatives on campus. And then we'll end with a live Q&A session. So as questions come up for either the UNT dining services team or for us at Freight Farms, just put them in the Q&A portion of your Zoom panel, and we'll cover those at the end. We might even get to them, kind of sprinkle them in between. So don't hesitate to ask what's going on. We have a great audience. I was looking at where everyone is logging in from. We've got a global audience and obviously good representation from the state of Texas, which is no surprise there. Awesome. All right, Matt, do you want to start off just by giving us like an overview of the UNT for the folks that aren't familiar?
Yeah. So I'll just go. I'll go over a couple of points and whatnot. UNT is ranked among the nation's Tier 1 public research institutions. Of course, we are located in Denton, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And we've been named one of the best college towns in the nation, and we're an epicenter for growth and innovation. We have nearly 47,000 students enrolled here at the university, and UNT is the third largest in Texas and has been one of the fastest growing the last couple of years. UNT has 250 degrees of study available here on campus, and 89 of our programs are ranked in the nation's top 100. And we are designated both a Hispanic and minority serving institution. Last year, a record-breaking 11,000 students earned degrees from UNT's 14 colleges and schools. And UNT has 15 residence halls with 4 dining halls plus Eagle Landing, home to 7 unique restaurants in a food hall style setting. So
Amazing. I am personally very lucky to have visited your campus last year for the MCURC annual event. We'll talk a little bit more about MCURC, but just having that experience and now being able to have this conversation with you all and share what you're doing on campus, specifically around food, is such a pleasure because myself and the team that went with me were so blown away, truly. Like, have never been to Denton, Texas, didn't really know about it before we went, but was just so impressed. All right, let's talk about dining services specifically. This is what this whole conversation is about. And you teased it a little bit for us, Matt. But paint the picture for us. What is the dining landscape at UNT? And I do want to shout out this first bullet here that UNT Dining Services, or UNT specifically, has been #1 for the best college food in Texas 2 years in a row, which is fantastic. What an amazing accolade there.
Absolutely, and of course, UNT Dining Services is comprised of course, the residential dining side, which I'm a part of, but also we have a retail aspect of what we do here with 24 retail food shops, which includes an upscale dining restaurant, and then of course, you can't say enough about our catering department here in at UNT, and the stellar the stellar food that they put out, and do take care of football games and during the season, and of course all of our VIP events that they do each and every day over in the Union Kitchen and whatnot, and of course the in-house bakery, Clark Bakery, right, the commissary bakery that we have in house, making everything from scratch, biscuits, pizza doughs, every dessert, every bread product that you get on campus is made in house. Ice cream that's it's in our retail operations and at Eagle Landing and at Bruceteria. And they're getting ready to ramp up candy production and confections that will be in our market at Eagle Landing and some of our retail establishments as well. We serve almost 5 million meals annually, and in 2009 we made a shift in how we serve and what we serve to our patrons, and we went self-op. So we went from highly processed foods to more chef-driven menus, food from scratch, that chefs like Chef Chris takes care of, and Chef Rodrigo and his team at at Eagle Landing, and Brennan Turner and Stephen Schmidt at Bruceteria, and Chef Phelan over at Champs, and all of the teams there as well, take care of and really look at the food, and we deal with whole food items. We're dealing with whole, we bring in whole items, we process them down, and we cook them, and we fundamentally cook those each and every day. And what it comes down to is we look at doing food the right way, the way that we were all taught, in industries. And a lot of us are from restaurants and hotels, and an array of places within the hospitality industry. So we have the experience to know how food should be processed and cooked and handled and whatnot. And we take great pride in each and every day of making sure that we keep to that philosophy.
And I think this just speaks to the evolution of kind of dining services in general, because the patrons, your students, are looking for much different things now than maybe they were 10, 15 years ago. So UNT, in 2009 has shifted significantly, but then you've continued to evolve over the years within culinary innovation, specifically in sustainability. So I'm curious, and between you and Chris and Aaron, however you want to contribute to this topic, but what other ways has UNT evolved to meet the changing needs of your population that you're serving?
I think we've made a commitment to listen, and to listen what students and parents are wanting. and whatnot. And I think that that's that's evident with with Mean Greens, and I'll have Chef Chris kind of talk about what they do at Mean Greens, but also Kitchen West is the big nine allergen dining hall on campus, and we heard from students and we heard from parents that allergens are a thing, and I can speak to it personally. I deal with it at home. It's personal for me. So we listen, we look at it, and we also when we analyze these things, we're like, what's the added value to opening these or shifting, and pivoting. What's the added value to the meal plan and the meal plan members of the students and whatnot, and how can we really dial in and make the dining experience a great one, from start to finish each and every day. But I'll let Chef Chris talk about Mean Greens and how the wonderful things he's doing there, and like we're on year 13, Chef Chris, right?
Yeah, we just celebrated
being plant based. So I'll let Chef Chris kind of talk about it and the philosophy that he kind of follows with operations over there.
Yeah, thanks, Chef. Yeah, it's been an experience. I'll say that celebrating our 13th year here, some of the things we do, some of the things we try to bring to our community here have been the best part of the journey. I think that most people, when they think vegan, plant-based, things like that, they think it can be good. And for us, the biggest challenge is making sure everybody understands that, the experience can be there if you just try it. I think one of the most important things for us is that over the years, we've taken what was here and we've added a lot of culinary innovation into it, a lot of thought, a lot of feeling, a lot of listening to our community, the things they want, and the things that we can provide for them. I have a background in fine dining and hotels. Coming to the university was kind of a change of life for me, and it was a good time to come and share what I had. And over the last few years, we've won awards, accolades, things like that, just because of the care and love we put into the food. I think the biggest thing for everybody to understand is that it's possible everywhere. It was possible here. Our director, Peter, and Bill McNeese at the time kind of came in and said, let's do a different concept. They went with it. It worked well. We came in, we took it to another level. I think adding the freight farms was a very important part for us as well. Bringing that project in, people being able to see that we source locally and we're trying to do our best to, leave an impression on the environment and things like that is one of the most special things about our department. The freight farm project has been amazing. It's allowed us to kind of get into it, service the halls that we have, kind of step back from some of our vendors and things like that, and bring it farm fresh and local. Erin does a great job here. Erin's been with us for years. Excuse me. She's been here for almost a little over 5 now, I think. Started with us as a freshman. She worked for a long time. She enjoyed what we did, and she came on full time. And now she runs this project. Every single plant in here, she's put her hands on. So, she takes a lot of pride in what she does, and it's a pleasure to work with her.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Chris, Chef Chris, you wouldn't necessarily think vegan or plant-based when you think of Texas. So talk to us about maybe the popularity of the of Mean Greens Cafe, and was it a hit right off the bat? Like, explain to us how this first 100% plant-based vegan dining hall could have actually popped up in Texas.
So it was implemented before I got here. So I kind of walked into the things that were going on here. It was a nice concept. People enjoyed it. It needed a little bit of culinary touch to it, to a new sense in some of the things we're doing. And I think that's what made it special. Like, I think we only probably have like a 5% actual vegan population that eats with us. Everybody else just like to eat there. I have people that drive from 40, 50 miles away just to come have lunch with us. So, I think that providing people an experience that they can't get anywhere else has been the biggest part of the success for that.
So you're not even just serving the students, faculty, and staff on campus. You're actually serving the greater community as well.
Oh yeah, we're open to the public. Anybody can come try us out. I encourage everybody to come try us out and kind of see what we do.
Great. And Chef Matt, you also talked about the Big Nine allergens dining hall. And we'll talk a little bit about it later, but can you just give a brief overview of that? Um,
Yeah, so Kitchen West has been in operation for I think about 3 years now, and it came from listening to the students and we're real in tune with what the students want and whatnot, and we hold monthly meetings and we get feedback from the student population, what's working for them, what's not working for them, on campus within UNT Dining Services, but we saw a need for it, and we went ahead and we converted Kitchen West over to Big Nine allergen free. We have a good amount of students that have allergens and stuff like that, and usually we will identify those students before they come on campus here their freshman year. They usually will reach out and let us know what their allergens are and stuff like that. I meet with them on a one-on-one basis before during freshman orientation and whatnot, and I usually meet with parents, and we talk about it, and I'm there for them as a resource to navigate through our dining halls. In all of our dining halls, we're labeling allergens in all of our menu items. So if you go to any of the 5 dining halls, you will see allergen stickers on all of the lines and whatnot. So we try to make sure that we're providing that service to the student population, each and every day, and just making sure that the biggest thing for us is that we want to make sure that every person that dines with us, here on campus feels safe. There's a level of comfort. The one thing that I tell parents when they come for freshman orientation is there are a lot of things that you're dealing with, your students dealing with, when they come to college for the first time as a freshman. We don't want food to be one of those. We want you to have to deal with the other aspects of college life and adjusting to college life, and we want food to just be an afterthought. So that's the biggest thing.
Great. And so UNT is actively involved in collaborative research through MCURC, Menus of Change University Research Collaborative. Can you discuss with us and just familiarize the audience with what that is? And both you and Chef Chris are co-chairs of it. So what exactly is it?
So the Menus of Change University Research Collaborative, it's a nationwide network of colleges and universities that use campus dining halls as living laboratories for behavior change. We advance a groundbreaking research pipeline focused on plant-forward diets, food waste reduction, and the drivers of consumer food choices. So, we also co-create educational resources related to accelerating the implementation of the Menus of Change principles of healthy, sustainable menus across the food service industry. So there are some principles that we follow, as we go and kind of develop our menus and whatnot. We do a lot. We do research. Like right now, we're in the middle of a research sprint for a project that we're working on. It's called Repurpose with a Purpose. So we're identifying ways we can repurpose food in our dining halls in a purposeful way, to keep it out of the landfill. And that's the biggest thing, is that we want to make sure that we're as close to zero waste in our operations as we can be, as far as food production goes, and making sure that we're using up food in a purposeful manner each and every day in our operations. Myself and Chef Chris are co-chairs on some of the committees that are part of MCURC and whatnot. So we're definitely meeting with our groups and kind of coming up with ways for us to be sustainable and kind of setting up these students that we're serving each and every day to kind of maybe choose a more healthier way of dining, as they're here at college, and then take them out, when they get out in the real world, then they make those better choices, for the environment, of course, for their health as well.
Great. All right, so now let's talk about the decision to actually grow produce on campus. And Chef Chris, Chef Bat, you can also tag team this one if you would want. I think Chef Chris, you already teased it a little bit, but let's talk about what actually motivated UNT to bring a hydroponic farm onto campus.
I think it was just a decision to try something new at first and see if it worked well for us. And the reception from our patrons and the people that work with us was received well. Being able to watch somebody harvest fresh lettuce, walk right past you while you're eating lunch, process it, go straight to the salad bar. I think that was big. And now that the project's expanded, tours, people want to come see what we're doing, people want to understand it, touch the plants, see the plants. Allows us an opportunity to try new things, grow new things, and I think being able to do that in your own backyard was super important for us.
For
And
sure.
I think a lot of it was listening, and I think that there was, I think there was an outreach to maybe do something farming wise or a community farm or whatnot, and I think the leadership at, in dining services took it that extra step. Texas summers are brutal here. Texas summers are brutal, and it just it keeps changing. And I think how the concept of having the hydroponic program, and it's in the climate control, is definitely we can grow year round. And not have to worry about the elements.
Hmm.
Even in the wintertime. The we're having freeze spells here in Texas more frequently and whatnot. So it's good to have it all in a container and climate controlled, and be able to you know have that fresh produce year round. So it's been great.
Great. All right, so let's transition to the actual process of getting the farm to campus. Um, it's it is located literally smack right next door to Mean Greens Cafe. So, Chef Chris, talk to us about that kind of deliberate move to put it right there.
Yeah, it's right next to the windows. As soon as you sit down, you look outside. It's a giant box on our patio, and there used to be a seating area. We removed those just for the freight farm, and it's a wow factor. People come in and they're like, "Hey, what's that outside?" So we take people out. We kind of show them what we do, and it adds another level of excitement to the kind of food we make here and the decisions we make with our menus and things like that. And being able to grow all these different things has been amazing for us. I mean, we grow 5 different types of basil, and we use them all throughout the operation. Cilantro, parsley, stevia. So we've kind of learned some things along the way. We've planted some things that we like, some things we don't like. So it's been a good learning process. But for people being able to actually see it and know that it's there, they know that we're doing what we say we want to do. So.
Mhm. And for folks that are less familiar, the pictures here are of the leafy green machine. So UNT actually got started back in 2016, 2017-ish. So this was one of our first model farms. And you attended farm camp training in Boston, Chris. I can remember you being there. Um, and obviously things have evolved a lot
A
since
lot.
then. But talk to us about your experience at training, and because a lot of folks listening, we don't just sell you the farm and say okay bye. We like to provide a lot of hands-on training to our customers so that they can grow successfully. So talk to us about training. Talk to us about the learning curve, um, everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, the training was super important. It was super exciting, though. I think the one thing I enjoyed was just the new concept, walking into the first farm, seeing the towers, seeing the plants, listening to the farm and how it works. It was crazy. And to come back, have our own farm, unbox it, put every tower in by hand, put every wick in by hand, set everything up. I mean, that was the most exciting part for me. As far as learning curves, you learn it all. but the training helps you get to a point to where you can kind of understand these things. You guys have had great support over the years. I mean, any question I've had, somebody jumps on, from David to Colleen, and just the way you guys handle, customer support has been great for us. We've learned a lot here with it being a hotter climate. We've learned some HVAC things. We've kind of experienced some things, and we've learned to bounce back from them or better ways to manage them. And as Prairie Farm has evolved over the years, I can tell that you guys are also listening with the new HVAC system, the way things are set up, the way things are modular and how they move, and the lights in the greenery now, so you know exactly where to space your plants, intercropping, things like that. So there's so many levels to what you can get out of this. And I think as we've gone through the 7 years of being with Freight Farms, we've learned a lot, and we value the partnership with you guys.
Yes, and so that leads us to bringing another freight farm to campus, and the latest iteration of our container farm, which is the greenery. So how did it really come about that you added another farm to campus? I'm not sure if Chef Matt, you want to take this, or Chef Chris, whoever feels equipped.
Yeah,
I'll let Chef Chris take it. Yeah, because he was involved in kind of the Diamond Eagles program and how that all came about. So he's well versed in that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
so as we started the project, our whole goal here was to cover the entire operation, and looking forward to hopefully getting another one and having almost 7 acres of space or so. We get all 5 dining halls, catering, presidential functions, things like that. Um, our greenery actually was something special to us because we got to get with our donor program with the Diamond Eagle Society, and we went out there, we put a presentation together. We talked about what we wanted to bring to campus with this, how we wanted to bring it to campus, and what this would do for us. We got a donation from them to help support this box. And so we put a sign up for them, and we named it the Diamond Eagle Garden. So the greenery is our Diamond Eagle Garden, which we're sitting in right now. And, we want to thank them for that because they were definitely an instrumental part in us getting this second box and being able to expand to where we're at now.
Incredible. Yeah, I love how it can impact maybe other departments or other initiatives on campus, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But the Diamond Eagle Society is fantastic for helping you expand to the Diamond Eagles Garden. So tell us a little bit about where this greenery is located.
So this greenery is located outside of Kerr Hall, which is another hall down the street. So it's been here we received it last year, and we've been operational pretty much since then. And so it's another wow factor on campus as we do tours through the units and we go to the LGM, and then everybody sees the LGM for the first time. Like, wow, this is amazing. Then we take them down the street and we show them the greenery. And then you walk in the greenery and it's impressive on another level.
For sure. And it is service, you said it has allowed you to expand production. So now where are your farms serving? Previously it was the LGM was serving Mean Greens Cafe. Now with the second farm, you're serving more places around campus, correct?
Oh yeah. So right now we service my hall entirely over at Mean Greens. We service Eagle Landing, Champs, our sports facility, and then we expand to presidential functions and catering, things like that. Hopefully, with this last box, we're able to get all 5 dining halls, and we're able to really make an impact with our impression of growing greens and how we can give that to the community. Our LGM, we actually kind of started making that our herb farm. So we grow the majority of our herbs in the LGM, all our basils and uh, all the fancy herbs. We do some thyme, we do some oregano from time to time, stuff like that.
Great. All right, Aaron, now everyone wants to hear from you. All right, can we mentioned that you were a student at UNT, and then transitioned once you graduated to actually work for the dining services department, specifically as the culinary farmer, which is by far the best title I've ever heard for someone who's operating the farms. So good on you all for coming up with that. So could you just share a little bit about your background and your desire to get involved with the farming project on campus?
Yeah, so I came to UNT back in 2017 as a freshman. I was pursuing a degree in advertising, and I was also looking for an on-campus job. So I started working at Mean Greens, and over the years, Chris had asked me to help out in the farm, and I couldn't pass that opportunity up. So the closer I got to my graduation date, the more I started to value what I did here on campus. Just taking a single seed, you nurture it, you watch it grow, and then you harvest it, and then you get to see other people nourish from that. It's just something that was really hard for me, or I knew I was going to miss a lot when I graduated and left campus. So I decided if I could stay on full time. So just
Great.
fell in love with, yeah, the art and the
And
science of hydroponics. Yeah.
exactly. So you, your background and your degrees in advertising and specifically in art direction. And when people hear that, they might be like, how did you go from that to farming? Where is there any kind of overlap or so you had mentioned in one of our first calls just about like your inspiration and the ties of science and art. So we're gonna make you elaborate a little bit more on that. And you started with the seeding and the transplanting and seeing something come to life, but just talk to us about the overlap there and the application of your degree to what you're doing now.
Yeah. It definitely takes a more inquisitive mind to understand different patterns and behaviors, but I think it also takes like a creative mind to envision your plans, create solutions, and then develop these hands-on technical skills. And then with farming, it's production and consumption. So I grow lettuce and I want it to be of good quality so that way I can sell it to the chefs on campus. And then getting with a second farm, I kind of had to figure out the best way to um, sell this. So that's how I kind of came up with the idea of a catalog system. So once a week, I'll just put together all the produce that I have available, send it out to the chefs, and then they let me know what they need or what they want.
That's awesome. Chef Matt or Chef Chris, do you want to add anything to what Erin's talking about right now or your experience with the catalog system as well?
Yeah, the cat. I was blown away by the catalog system because it has photos of the actual the products in it, and it's like, oh wow, the chefs can actually see what they're getting and what's available, and it's really cool, and everyone's kind of, everyone's kind of jumping on each other to get what's available for the week and whatnot. So kudos to Erin for putting that together. It's a real great resource for all of our chefs to the chefs to know what's coming and how they can utilize it in their operations. They say you eat with your eyes first, so to see what's coming and the colors and the quality of what's coming down and whatnot kind of gives the chefs a little more inspiration and whatnot and kind of motivates them to feature the the produce and the from the freight farm. So it's been a great resource moving forward. So and I'm excited to see what new things Erin brings in to kind of feature going into the spring semester. So
Right. Which brings us to talking about the actual varieties. Chris, you teased it a little bit already, but Erin, let's talk about what's growing. And Chef Matt, I love that you said that you eat with your eyes. So let's also talk about the characteristics of some of these plants and maybe what you're seeing, if there are textures, colors, tastes, what's really standing out for you with the produce that you're growing. Erin, this one's for
Yeah,
you.
I try to give variety, especially in colors. We grow some red, some purple, of course green, and then texture as well because romaine's going to be a lot more like crisp and crunchy, but the butterheads will be a little bit more smoother. So there's something different for the salad bars. add variety, just different stuff for people to try or see new things every day. It's to know that, again, we're thoughtful. We're just always thinking about trying new things here as well.
Great. And there's a lot of variety in this list. So a bunch of different lettuces, quite a few basil varieties, your hardy greens. And then I'm sure people are very curious about these root vegetables because yes, you actually can grow root vegetables in a freight farm. And you can see them here and they're so cute and they're so petite. So are you experimenting with these right now, or how did you end up choosing to grow these root vegetables? Oh, I think we may have lost audio unless it's just me. Matt, can you hear them?
No, I didn't. I couldn't hear them. No.
We'll check the mics.
Are we back?
Are we back?
Yes, you are.
We had gone to Boston last November and had seen the carrots grown in the farm, so we definitely had to hop onto that. And we had some radish seeds already when I had started working, and so I just planted them to see if it would work, and sure enough, it did. And they grew so well and so fast, so those are definitely a favorites. Yeah, we just like variety with the basils. We'll use them for different things. Our Genevieves for pesto, sweet Thai for our faux bar, and then we've got our citrus basils that we'll use for infused waters from time to time. And then our hardy greens, I try to cycle through. Having that background in the kitchens helped me kind of have a good understanding of when they'll need this produce through that menu that just cycles through week by week.
Great. We may have lost the actual mic audio, but I think we're picking it up from something else.
Okay.
Or maybe it's just Aaron's. Chris, I can hear yours.
Oh, yeah.
We're good. We'll keep going because I can
Okay.
still hear you. There we go.
And I also think just to speak on inspiration and whatnot, Caroline, you know, your team and what they put on social media, and kind of that resource, as well as, you know, your R&D in the two freight farms that you guys have in Boston, has been inspirational as well. We know that, you know, we have seen some things. I know tomatoes have been, you know, tomatoes have been one of those things, and we know that you know, you guys have been are you know, doing research and development with the purple tomato and that kind of thing. So that's kind of intrigued, and that's kind of a, you know, another aspect of inspiration and whatnot, you know, moving forward and whatnot. So it's kind of, it's great that the collaboration comes full circle. So
Yeah, definitely. And we should continue the conversation around the purple tomatoes, because I believe there's more in store for what we want to do with our network, and who we're working with the seeds specifically. So stay tuned for that. Okay. I mentioned, oh, this is a great photo from when we were there on campus last year for the MCURC event. So the farms are used for more than just growing produce, which I absolutely love. So let's talk about how else you engage with the greater community and your freight farms. And Aaron, I know that you actually lead a lot of these tours as well. So this is open to anyone who wants to contribute, and then I'll ask a little bit more specific questions.
Oh, can y'all hear us? We're having some audio difficulties.
That I can hear you lightly.
Oh, okay. We get a little closer. You ask that question one more time, Caroline?
Okay. Yes, definitely get closer because it is light. So how do you use I'm realizing I'm also getting closer as I'm telling you to get closer. I should sit back. Um, Tell us how you actually use the farms in more ways than just growing food, like engaging the greater community, whether that's student groups or advancement departments.
Yeah, we cover all of that. I think that's probably one of the highlights for us, monthly, weekly, daily. You know, we have people that sign up. We have professors that reach out. We have tours of people coming to campus that reach out. I think a lot of the parents that bring the kids in when they walk in campus, they walk by, you know, they'll stop me. Hey, what's going on in there? You know, and I bring them inside. And they're like, wow, you guys are doing this here. Mean Greens has also been a big factor in a lot of people coming to the university, having to do them diet or, restrictions. And they're like, well, I couldn't eat anywhere else, but I picked this school because I know I could walk in and, I can eat things here and you guys are doing all these amazing things. So I think the tour program that we have here, our marketing department does a great job putting those things together for us. It's allowed us to really show the community that we care, bring them into what we're doing.
That's fantastic. And Erin, you have the opportunity to give those tours too as well, or you prepare for them, and you have a lot of people cycling in and out.
Yeah, I kind of use what I do day to day, so we can really just talk about and explain to people too who are just not familiar at all with hydroponics. And it's always they're so fascinated to see how something can grow vertically and without soils and with just LED lights.
People are like moths to a flame with the LED lights. Chef Matt, do you want to add anything here?
Yeah, I mean it's one of, like Chef Chris says, it's a wow factor, and I think in the video the word I used was mind blowing. This is so mind blowing, and that's the biggest the biggest thing that we hear from a lot of the tour members and stuff like that come through, is that it's definitely one of those tools we use to kind of promote what we're doing sustainability wise, and making sure that we're doing it correctly, and whatnot. So I mean, it's a real great testament of what we're doing here at UNT and in dining services. So yeah, it's great, and we have, I know we have some classes that get tours in and kind of show the student body what we're doing, and they use it as a tool for teaching as well. So so that's been a great one as well. So
Right. It is a tangible way to really show your commitment to all of these different goals and your values. And I'm just thinking about last year at MCURC, you toured everyone that attended that conference through the farms, and I know that they were really blown away. So I think it's a great tool for more than just the food. All right. So I feel like we could talk about these things forever, but we got to keep moving. All right. Let's talk about the trends, future trends. I feel like campus dining is constantly evolving. How does UNT Dining Services envision the future of college dining? And then what steps is the team taking to really stay at the forefront of those culinary trends and student preferences?
I think that the biggest thing I think is like to keep listening to what our our student population is interested in, and whatnot. It's definitely college students these days are much more informed with with the evolution of social media and the way that they get their information. So they're smart. They're smart. I field a lot of questions at home. I have a 16 and a 14-year-old at home, and and some of the things that they bring up as far as the environment and whatnot is just mind blowing. And I'm like, sometimes I just have to be like, hold on a second, you're 14 years old, but they're definitely digesting it, and they're forming their own opinions, and making sure, and holding us adults accountable for for what we do on a daily basis, and how we run our households and whatnot. So so yes, we'll keep listening. We'll keep being ahead of the curve, and be proactive and not reactive. I mean, I think that's the most important thing, is that we want to make sure that we're the trendsetters, uh, in the college dining scene. And I think that all of the colleagues that we come in contact with, we're facing that same that same the way we do business and whatnot. So it definitely keeps us on our toes, and it definitely keeps us on point, and keeping within the philosophy of what we do each and every day.
Right. All right. Chef Chris, do you want to add anything, or should we continue on to advice and then the Q&A?
You covered it all.
Okay, cool. And when you are still quiet, so I'm gonna ask you to come a lot closer when you're answering questions. Um, and shout. All right, let's talk.
You good? All right.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. We'll figure it out. All right, so there are a lot of people tuning in that are curious about starting their own hydroponic farming operation on campus. So I want to hear one piece of advice from each of you. You know, you've already shared a ton of advice and experience here, but let's go around and maybe from your individual experiences, what advice would you give the folks listening?
All right. I would say don't be afraid. You know, jump in there and see what you can do, see what you can grow with your hands, and offer these things to the people around you that are important to your daily. Just make sure that you challenge yourself. We challenged ourselves through 2 farms in 7 years, so it's possible, and it's a good product and it works. I think that'd be my advice. Don't be afraid.
Great. Chef Matt?
Stay true to your philosophy and don't steer away from that. And surround yourself with with really great people. That's the biggest thing. What makes my job easier is that I work with a very passionate group of people, and we stay on point. We know what the philosophy is, and we care about the students that we serve here on campus.
Aaron?
Finding a purpose, why you grow it and what you grow.
That's great. Perfect. All right, so we've got quite a few questions that are coming in. So let's transition to the Q&A portion. All right. So this question is, I'm going to just read this verbatim because it's a little long. It seems that most kitchens on campus don't adopt local produce or fresh foods and unprocessed foods because of a number of challenges, such as, there isn't enough time or no space and it is too expensive. And this listener is wondering how you get around all of those challenges and what you can say to others who feel this way of serving food is unattainable.
I think like I said before, is be true to your convictions and find a way and find those that are wanting the same thing as you. Like I said, we are dealing with food. We're dealing with whole food products. We're bringing in whole produce, and we're breaking it down, and you know we're producing food that way. That's you, there has to be a commitment, and I think that we're fortunate enough to have a college administration that's very food centric, and really is behind us, and is very is very food forward, and making sure that we keep the main thing the main thing. So it's definitely and work with your distributors and whatnot to find ways of getting the products and the price points that you need them to be where they need to be.
Right. And, with this question, I just think about the on-campus bakery that produces all of the breads and everything for your entire campus, and just the scale of your campus and how many people that you're serving every day. What's the phrase, like, if they, oh no, if they would, they could, or if they could, they would. Like, it's difficult for sure, but you're committed to it. Therefore, you're steering around those challenges and you're doing it. So it's kind of like there are no excuses. You can get it done if you put your mind to it.
And another thing is don't complicate it. Don't complicate it. And it's myself and Chef Chris used to go to conferences, and we would have people approach us and say, "How do you do it? How do you run a 100% plant-based a facility. And it's like, yeah, it's like, just break it down to the simplest form. You're just using plants, and you're just you're cooking them in a fundamental way that's true, right? You're taking everyday culinary applications, and you're just using it on plants versus protein items. That's the kind of thing, and that's the way you need to be creative, and push your team to be creative and come up with ways that are that pay homage to the food that we bring in, and that's the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right, Erin, this one's going to be for you. Um, this is from a listener who is actually getting their freight farm next year, and it's a school district. Um, as the manager of two freight farms, how many hours a week are you physically working in the container versus how many hours a week are you actually collaborating with kitchen staff?
About 30 hours a week, I'll be in the farms, and that's on top of organizing the catalog and making sure that everything's getting delivered, and hours in the kitchen.
Okay. I'm going to have you speak up a little bit just because it's a slightly hard to hear you. So about 30 hours, and you said that's on top of the catalog that you are putting together. Okay, so it would basically be between the two farms plus the kind of business side of operations. You would say this is like a full-time 40-ish hour a week job. Great. Any advice you would have for a school trying to put together their kind of their schedule?
Definitely some experimenting, trying to keep track of the seeds, and then when you need to transplant them and when you need to harvest, and then it can just cycle it smooth, and you're able to predict the whole process and make it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Research as well, what
Right.
you're growing, how long it grows, what kind of conditions you're there.
Yeah, it'll be trial and error for sure, and an adjustment period, a learning curve, until you get kind of in the groove.
I think, sorry, Caroline, but I think the thing that we picked up at training too as well is start small and find those things that work for you in your operation and in your farm. Don't fill up the farm all at once, but just start small, see what works for you, and then go from there. So
That is
trial,
key.
trial and error, right?
Right. And don't plant that entire farm once you get it. Plant a little bit at a time, familiarize yourself with the operations. Okay. Oh, I just saw a really good one. Where did it go? Oh, how has this, if at all, kind of affected your sales at your salad bar, or like the popularity of your salad bars, or wherever else the produce is actually being integrated?
Say it up there. You come in, we have signage for each type of lettuce when we harvest it, things of that nature. So it allows people to kind of know exactly what we're doing here, what they're eating, when we got it, where it came from, and things like that. But we have a really good system as far as labeling and things of that nature. So when you come in, you can really get a feel for the farm freshness of it.
I think that is such a great point and super important, is the labeling and the marketing of the initiative on campus. Because if you're not telling the students that it's grown on campus, they're not going to know it's grown on campus.
And the one thing, Caroline, we also do, and I encourage, our assistant directors and our general managers is to talk to the students on a daily basis and be available to them to explain and to really, talk about, what we're doing and how we do it, and really turn them on to what, the programs that we do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. All right. Do you feel like this is an attraction for students?
Yes. Yes.
Period. Full stop.
I think we've had a lot of students that have come for tours and whatnot, and and then they come back and are freshmen. And we've had, I know Chef Chris and I have had a lot of students have said to us, one of the deciding factors of me coming to UNT was the dining program and what you guys do in the dining program, and that you guys listen to us, and you take care of our dietary needs and whatnot. So yes, these types of things do help, do help and are a deciding factor in where parents are going to send their students and where students want to come.
Mm-hmm. This is another good question. So your goal is to service like all of your dining facilities with your the produce that you're growing on campus. So what percentage maybe are you able to fulfill yourselves by growing it, like your lettuce production or your greens production with the freight farms?
I'd say right now we're probably a little over 50% where we want to be. I think that once we expand one more time, it'll just take us all the way there. And now that we're learning about the intercropping and things like that, it allows us to take a couple other things into perspective and say, okay, we can grow radish for everybody now. We can start growing carrots for the unit. So who knows? Maybe at some point we might just have a root vegetable box where that's all we grow there. We might have another box that's just for our kales and sharks. So as we're going through the process here, we're trying to learn new things too, and better ways of serving our community.
That's great. So with your high standards of food quality and food safety, what protocols are you following when you're actually growing in the farms to kind of make sure that you're covering yourselves from a food safety standpoint?
We harvest everything fresh, straight to a walk-in. We don't use pesticides or chemicals. Everything here is natural, from neem oil to the vinegar we clean with. And we don't harvest it until we need to use it, pretty much. And everything we harvest, we use right away.
Great. What would you say is the crop that you are growing the most right now?
I would say lettuce. We have a pretty big salad bar over at Eagle Landing and over at Moonbeams as well. So that's pretty high in demand.
Great.
We grow a lot of fish chard.
Swiss chard. Yep. Swiss chard and lettuce. I think there's Swiss chard right behind you, Chris, isn't there? Nice. And I think, is that bok choy or kale behind that?
Kale.
Kale. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right. Let's see. What departments are involved directly or indirectly? And I think we talked a little bit about this, but the Department of Advancement is indirectly involved or directly involved. And then most likely like recruiting and I'm not sure what department that would be. Any others that you can think of that are interested in the farm?
I think everybody's interested. I mean, we do a lot of tours. We've had the human resources department come through. We've had a lot of the education departments come through. Like I said, some of the classes have come through, and whatnot. So any opportunity that a department wants to come and see what we're doing, we're open to it. We want to make sure that they know, they know what we're doing with the farms, and what a great program it is. So it's definitely, but as far as dining services as well. I mean, we partner with hospitality, with the hospitality department too as well. I know Chef Chris has a couple of hospitality students that work with him, and we have hospitality students that work within our operations as well. So there's a relationship there as well.
Great.
As collaboration.
And I think UNT is very unique in that you're almost entirely operating these from a dining services perspective to service your dining halls. And that's one way to do it, absolutely. And we have a lot of other campus freight farmers that are integrating maybe a little bit more on the education side. So if folks are interested in learning about that, we will definitely send resources as well. And then I think we've plugged it a couple of times, but I'm not sure if Amy has shared it in the chat, but we just released this phenomenal episode all about UNT dining services in our Grow Food Here series. So we'll put out the link to that YouTube video so you can really see the behind the scenes of dining services, of the farms, where they are, and just all the phenomenal things that this team is doing at UNT. I just realized it's 2 o'clock. Again, I feel like we could talk about this for forever, but we'll stop there because I really want to respect your time. You all are so busy. And just from all of us, thank you for sharing your experiences and your expertise. We are all so impressed with UNT's dining services, and I hope that you have been able to inspire all of our listeners here today, which I definitely don't doubt. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we'll talk to everyone later, and we'll send out this recording in a few days. Thank you.